Hello everybody and welcome to another week and another edition of the Xtra End podcast in partnership with Absolute Grass Care, specialists in turf maintenance. Here with my co-host and all-round good guy, Mac Letman. How are you doing, mate? Wingy?
All right, mate. Thanks. Yeah, good week.
Yeah, all good, mate. All good in the madhouse. You know, apart from Liverpool winning the Premier League, but
yeah, I could do without that. But on the good news though is that everyone's back playing balls again.
Yeah, good to see. Some fabulous pictures on Facebook of people rolling up again. You know, hopefully we can salvage some sort of competitive competitions maybe towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
But that'll remain to be seen. But good to see people back on the green and having a roll up.
Absolutely.
But today's edition is all about the legends. Absolutely delighted to say that we were joined by John Price and Robert Weale earlier in the show. And just before we cut to that, here's this week's two Clubmates 2.0 with Cross Keys and another legend of Cross Keys, Andrew Bushell.
Best bowler, that's a tough one to start with. We've got quite a few good bowlers in our club. Especially we've got ex-Welsh singles champion, Mr. Tom Hancock, but I think I'm going to have to go with Mr. Ian Slade, or Slady, Swede, Coco the Clown, Stress Derek, Ginger Whinger. He's a man of many names, and I believe that one of your guests tonight also calls him the Pig. You'd better ask him about that though. But to be fair to him, he's someone I've looked up to all through my bowling career since I started. And he's even managed to carry me to a few county titles. So for that reason alone, I would say Ian Slade is the best bowler in Cross Keys. Worst drinker? Well, we've got a few candidates here. Two of them actually. So Mr. Tom Hancock. I can't really get that photo out of my head of him mopping the floor in our local curry house a few Christmases ago, but I think I'm going to have to go with Mr. Ian Williams, or Yanto as he's more commonly known. If you get this boy on the Chardonnay, you never know what's going to happen. In fact, he doesn't really know what's going to happen either. One night when we came back to the club, he got on it and ended up losing his belt. I mean, how do you do that? And he then proceeded to try and walk home with his shorts down round his ankles until some of the boys picked him up and chucked him in the back of a taxi. So for that reason alone, I'm going to go with Yanto, Mr. Ian Williams. Most enthusiastic? Well, I think there's only 1 year that we can go with. It's got to be Paul Duggan, or Duggs as he's more commonly known to us. So I think there's not a day goes past where I look at my WhatsApp group and he's pinged out a new idea of how to take us forward as a club. Whether that be having a second team, whether it be restarting our presentation evenings, or even keeping us up to date with the state of our green during the lockdown. And many others actually, when you think of it. So the only thing that I can hold against him is that he's a Spurs supporter. And he loves VAR. So I've even heard that he's on about lobbying WBA to put VAR into the bowls world. But for that reason alone, he's such a good guy. We're lucky to have him at Cross Keys. So, Mr. Duggan, you're our most enthusiastic member. Right, that's an interesting one. I would think that we are more sort of lovers than fighters in Cross Keys, but if I had to pick someone most likely to have a fight in the phone box, it would have to be our chairman, Mr. Mitch Sanchez. Over the years, he's probably been no stranger to rubbing people up the wrong way. Now, if I go back to one particular occasion in Jersey, when we were on tour in Jersey, you'll see what I mean. So the day before we were supposed to play Jersey Bowls Club, a few of our guys went up to their clubhouse to have a few beers, and some of their guys, naming no names, said that they'd never lost to a Welsh skip before. So bearing that in mind, we fixed the cards the next day, so our rink was due to play against that rink. After 9 ends, we were 23-0 up. And the second playing against Mitch said, "Oh, I don't know what to do. I've never been 23-0 down before." To which Mitch replied, "Don't worry, it'll be 24-0 in a minute." So, given that, I think, yeah, probably Mitch Sandris is the one most likely to start a fight in the phone box. Interesting one. To be fair, most of the people in our club actually get around in. But if I'm going to pick one, it'd probably have to be Graham Davis, ex-police officer, local, at my local pub. I don't think I've ever had a drink off him, to be fair. So whenever it's his round, he tends to deflect the attention away from himself and onto his mucker, Alan Williams. And by the time they both stop bickering, somebody else has got a bloody round in, and he's got away with it again. So for that reason, go for Graham Davis, aka Top Cap, which he hates. Right, oh, this is an easy one. So for this one, I'm going to have to go with Di the Bear Summers, just simply because of his last bowl in the County Cup final last year, which made us champions. So story of the game was, me and him were last rinks on. We both had a bowl left. The game was tied. We were both 1 down on our rinks. He tried to rush up to the mat so he wouldn't be last. I beat him to it. Chucked my bowl away. Didn't do anything as usual. So I thought that was it. Lo and behold, I turned around, and out of the gloom came the Summer, whacked their bowl out, and left us with 2 shots to make us champions. So, you know, we've never heard the end of that since. He's even told my wife about it in work. He's so proud of it. So for that reason, I'm going to have to go with Di Summers. Otherwise he'll never, ever forgive me. So we got a few characters in our club, especially after the beer starts flowing. But I think I'm going to have to go with one of our newest members, Mr. Barry Davis. He's... when he first joined, I thought he was a Sky engineer. Then I thought he was a bailiff. Then I thought he was in working somewhere in a factory. To be honest, I haven't got a clue what he does, to be honest with you. But he does an awful lot of things, and he can get his hand on an awful lot of things. He's a bit like a mini Dynoof, to be honest with you. But he's a cracking lad, fair play, salt of the earth. He'll look after you, and he's just one of those guys who's just inherently funny. One thing you must never do with him though is ask him about his allotment, because you'll have a shed load of photos for the next month coming through to you on your phone.
Okay, 2 of Wales' most decorated and on a world stage, probably Wales' most iconic players. A warm welcome to Robert Weale and John Price. John, if I could start with you, how's life with you, and have you graced the Aberavon Green yet?
Not too bad, Mark. No, I'm just watering the green this summer. I won't be playing, so I'm just doing the watering and a bit of work over there.
Excellent. And I take it, it is well known that you don't like practice. I take it you haven't a rest, do you?
I have. I've decided we're so long into the season now, I'm going to have a bit of a rest and start again shortly and look forward to next outdoor.
Perfect. Rob, how are you, mate? Everything all good? Pristine, looking good? I saw a couple of pictures on social media. Looking nice?
Yeah, it's all good here, Mark. Yeah, you've seen more than me probably. I've not been up to Pristine. I've been obeying all the restrictions. I've not actually ventured into Wales. So lots of my parents for a bit, all the green. But no, from the pictures, all's looking good, and we've just reopened again. So yeah. Fine.
Excellent. Yeah, it's nice to see bowls back in some shape or form, and gets those people out there in the green, even if it's singles, hopefully move to pairs in a couple of weeks' time, which is good. Rob, if we can if we can start with you, mate. You've had an interesting career, to say the least. Let's start off really. Let's go to the top, and let's start off with your Commonwealth Games career. 1986 is where it all started, up in Edinburgh, where we had a rather good outcome in the men's fours with Jim Morgan, Howard Thomas, and William Thomas. How'd that go?
Exactly, as you say, Mark. Thanks for that. Way back, yes, '86. So, well, yeah, and with the game it was then, it probably was the youngster. I think Mark McMahon played for Hong Kong in those games, so obviously younger than me at the time. But no, what a great experience playing in the games in '86. I did actually play in the World Championships in '84.
Ah, right.
So that was up in Aberdeen. We didn't sort of medal in Aberdeen, but obviously 1984, I was 21. Great introduction. Bryn Hawkins there as skip in those World Championships.
I remember Bryn, yeah.
But, yeah, and what a great character to have side and sort of start you off in the game basically. But no, moving to '86, fours. First games and gold medal.
Gold medal, yeah, incredible. Yeah. How did that feel, Rob? You know, I know you mentioned the Worlds before, but Commonwealth Games first ever, and you come away with a gold medal. That must be incredible.
To be honest, being naive, I think at the time, I didn't really sort of understand what it was all about and the importance of it. I think it was only getting back home, and I think from that trip, when we flew back, we actually flew into Cardiff. And Mid Wales were playing a game at Cardiff Athletic. And I can just remember the reaction then when, we walked into the green there and you got your medal, and it was just the reaction of people there, how, pleased they were. It started to hit home then. Not before it didn't, but it started to hit home then. Well, maybe this is a big deal. That's how stupid it is.
Right, yeah.
That's the way I sort of took it, but no, it's fantastic.
Fantastic, and obviously, you've done a lot before then, but it sort of lifted your career then. And the next Commonwealth Games in Auckland didn't go quite as well. Well, what comps were you in there, Rob? Did you try and defend the fours, or was it?
No, we played. So back in those days, it was you used to play one event.
Right.
So over in Auckland, played pairs with William Thomas. We actually lost out in the playoff for bronze medal, so third and fourth place. Then they weren't awarding 2 bronzes, but in the group games we only lost 1 game. We unfortunately lost to Canada by, I think it was a shot.
Right.
We had massive shots advantage over them throughout the other group games, but unfortunately lost that, which was the group decider. We actually didn't come away with a medal, but I say so close and probably could have. Yeah, it was an unlucky one, that.
Yeah, and then moving on to '94 in Victoria, and our other guest here, John, and you silver medaled in the men's pairs with each other. How did that go?
Well, that was great experience for me actually. Playing with the guy there, John. What a fantastic player. So teaming up with John, again, that was a dream come true to actually play in the games with him. I would say again, silver medal, but really desperately unlucky to lose in that final. I thought we deserved more.
I think so, Rob. I think if you remember, we had a 5 the first end against Rex and Cameron, and we laid 5, and I think he fluked it with his last bowl on the second end. We could have been 10 up in 2 ends. And ended up just losing. We probably played better for a large percentage of the game, if I can remember rightly, but they finished quite strong.
So who was that against? What country was that? Rex?
Cameron Curtis and Rex Johnson.
Right, yeah. So, and was it close in the end, John, or?
Yeah, it was a couple of shots, I think, Robin, about 17-15 or something.
Yeah,
I think it was 17-15, couple of shots, and as you say, John, we were definitely the dominant pair over the game. So Just those flicks and little things didn't go our way, I felt. But yeah, just a near miss. But silver, excellent as well.
Absolutely. And the Welsh selectors must have blamed John for that, because the following Commonwealth Games in '98, you partnered with Will Thomas.
Yeah, well, I did have a word with him about his lead-in, so obviously paid dividends, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Another silver medal. And Rob, I think that game you carried the flag. Is that right? What was that experience like?
Oh, so yeah, over in Kuala Lumpur. Well, just to be awarded the honour of leading all your teammates, and we're not obviously talking just about bowls here, but all your Welsh team colleagues, all the athletes. Again, an accolade that doesn't often go to our sport. So to be the individual that actually gets that, carrying that flag, leading your country out, again, what a massive honour and a dream come true. Best thing about that was, at least my dad managed to make the trip and was over there, and he was in the crowd, and I think it was a crowd nigh on 100,000 people in Kuala Lumpur in that stadium. So butterflies, mate, absolute
fantastic.
Butterflies.
Yeah, I can only imagine. That's amazing. Fair dues. And then obviously, we moved on to 2002 in Manchester. Now this is like a sort of a stepping stone for your singles, really, Rob, going up to 2010 in Delhi, because 2002 was the bronze in the singles, 2006 in Melbourne was a silver medal, and then culminating then in 2010 in Delhi, where again you carry the Welsh flag, but you beat Leif Selby in the final to win a gold medal. I mean, 3 Commonwealth Games, to go one step further every time is an incredible achievement. And to win a gold in singles.
Again, revenge over those Aussies as well. That was the best part.
That's right. Yeah, so amazing, Rob. And, what was it like in Delhi after you won it?
Well, Delhi, as I say, it was that day we actually played 3 games. So we went through quarter, semi, and then final over that one day, which is tough in itself. Actually, during the lockdown, I'd never watched the final back, the Delhi final, but over the lockdown, somebody sent me Bill from New Zealand. He sent me a link that, here's the final, mate. Have you ever seen it? I was like, well, no. So I sat down and watched it. Gets me at the start was the temperature still at 9:30 in the evening was still 30 degrees. And the humidity was, sky high. And that was the third game. But anyway, no, just basically just to go through and win that game against Leif. Again, probably should have been 2-0. Again, a dominant player. But no, managed to take it into a tiebreak again, like what an idiot. But the tiebreak, worked perfect for me. 2 shots first end and played a blinding drive, like to make it 2 on the second end, so 4-0, Dormy 4.
Yeah.
But when I won and he put a ball in the ditch, I wanted to win it the right way. I didn't want to revisit what happened 4 years earlier with Kelvin, where obviously, the handshake didn't happen.
No.
I wanted to do it the right way. I waited for Leif, looked at him, offered my hand. That was done. And then, I went mental.
To be fair, Rob, you've always done that. You've always been a gentleman in the game, and to see that what the previous Commonwealth Games of Kirko acting like that was pathetic. But I hope it spurred you on for the next Commonwealth Games. That makes sense.
It did. You never know if you're going to get the pick, but obviously my record going through the games of medaling, and then, as you say, the singles, 2002 bronze, then silver in Melbourne. Obviously, I deserved the slot, and to go bronze, silver, gold, and justify it, couldn't work better, could it? So,
perfect.
As I say, it stood me in good stead. I think 86 about.
Yeah.
I think I was a better player in that game. I'm not sort of saying that because I just want people to think, he was far better, but I really do think I was. I managed the crowd, because the crowd were giving me grief when I went to the Mart. They were, oh yeah. So I sort of, my game management was really good that night. I sort of actually went on the mat. The crowd didn't settle. I stepped off the mat. I waited, went back on the mat and played my game, sort of my pace. And I just felt, look, Kelvin, you're hanging in, mate. and which he did, credit to him.
Yeah.
And really, the second set was lost on a measure, but there we go. But that helped me for Delhi, I think, stepping into the final in Delhi.
Yeah.
Nothing to lose. I thought I've been here, sort of done it before, if you like, but now's the time to go one better.
Fantastic. And the feeling between 2010, 86, your first medal, your first gold in your last gold. But
Yeah, I think what I said earlier, really, playing fours in 86, naive, quite young, not worldly wise in a way, even at 23. I am a farmer, so, but, I don't know. No, I didn't know
sorry, just jumping in. It's actually an amazing story from the 1986 because Jim Morgan actually, because he skipped that for, didn't he,
yeah.
Jim?
And Super Jim.
And I think it was something like a week after he come back from the Commonwealth Games, just having one gold medal. He was playing in the Barry Athletic Club handicap final, and he actually lost 24-0. Lost 24-0 to a second team, and that's not a lie. He lost 24-0, for as brilliant as he was, to Brian Whitlock, and it was just amazing. Talk about a come down all grace. But there's a little bit of knowledge here. I'm sure Jim won't appreciate me saying that.
And did he say, did you win a gold medal out there after that game? Did he, Brian?
Yeah, in the bar after. He'd been awaiting his call from the selectors ever since.
Brilliant. All right, so in between all that then, Rob, the Commonwealth Games, I mean, that's just a superb career in the Commonwealth Games. Obviously, you became world indoor singles champion in 2000 as well. Obviously, we're not really an indoor show, but, that's still one heck of an achievement, if I'm honest. So how did that go? How was that feeling to win, probably, back in the day when it was on TV now? I think it's the only televised event, really, apart from the Commonwealth Games. So how did that go?
Yeah, obviously, you can't get higher than that and better, can you? World indoor singles champion. Again, obviously, John, your other guest tonight.
Yeah, we'll get to him.
I was fortunate I played John in the final. So
that's right. Yeah, that's right.
You had to mention that, Mark, didn't you?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I just keep on looking at you, thinking, "Oh God."
You keep setting them up, Mark. I'll look at it.
That's why I said to Chrissy, he could interview John.
But that tournament in 2000, went really well for me. I actually, on the way, I beat 4 former world champions, so it was no fluke. I beat, I think it was Tony Alcock second round, Andy Thompson, both 3-0, by the way. Alex Marshall in the semi-final was reigning champion, and John in the final. So, but
I got a set in the final.
You did get a set.
Get easy on me, Mark.
They'd split the money anyway. John didn't.
But seriously, in the final, it did help me that it was John in the final, because not having been there before, and it's obviously a big stage, but knowing John so well, having played same team as John, played pairs with John, and actually playing singles against John on the Welsh indoor circuit, it did help. We knew each other, and basically, I think us, we get on so well on and off the green anyway, and it was just like playing another game, I think, that day. Even though it was cutthroat, obviously, on the shots and everything. And John didn't want to split the money, like he's really that way.
That's me.
He's having none of that.
The thing is, Mark, we played a lot together against each other as well, Rob and myself, because we're the same sort of age group and grew up the era. We played outdoors, indoors against each other. It's always been, we both want to beat each other, but it's never spilled over into anything other than that, Yeah. And that's the way it should be, isn't it? We're both determined, we're both good competitors. We wanted to win, but, I couldn't be more delighted, obviously with Robert, other than Stephen or Jason winning it, I'd have taken that, anytime if it, myself.
And to be fair, John, you're not just saying that. You totally mean it. I know that for a fact, because that's the type of players you are like, and that's great to see. And I remember the final, and it looked just a good spirited game, So I mean, well done to you both for getting this.
I think I got off to a bit quicker start. I went 1-0 up, and wasn't playing too bad in the second. I think Robert got back to 1-1, and after that,
Right.
then Robert took control of the match really and won the next 2 sets. But it was, it was nip and tuck probably for 2 sets, but Robert then had control of it, And you sense sometimes in a game it's going away from you, don't you?
Yeah. I thought you meant then you went 1-0 up on the first end.
That's what I thought.
The days when they used to play long matches in the TV, these days they play in these joking matches.
Okay then, Rob. So there's far too many national titles to talk about. But in all fairness, you've done most, the fours I could with your family, and very, very successful as well. So that must be nice playing the fours with your family and winning national and British Isles titles.
Yeah. So Welsh national fours. I think it's 9 occasions with that, and obviously every time with the family. First time that was way back in '84. So Dad was actually playing with us then. So I skipped. Dad was third, David second, and Brian leading. And if you look back, '84, that's a very young rink at that time. I was 21 skipping. Brian's only 17 on the mat. David was probably still about 50 at that time. But seriously, though, to win it with, the rest of the 8 times has been 4 brothers. I think that's a unique achievement anyway. But to win the British Isles on 4 occasions as brothers, it is just something special. I think there's a bond on the green, isn't it? Blood, thicker than water, and you just fight for everything. And we certainly did. And each player, I've got to say, actually steps up to the mark. When we play in WBA fours or if it's British Isles, players are stepping up to the mark and doing their bit, and that shouldn't be forgotten.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not all about you, Rob, all the time. You can't win fours on your own. No one can. And they all got. You're right. They all got to play their part if you're going to win big titles.
Yeah, definitely important cog in the wheel, so to speak.
Yeah, that's right. So 54 indoor caps and an incredible 115 outdoor caps. I think we know your most satisfying achievement in the game. Are you happy with the way your career ended, Rob? Could you've got a lot to offer in the game, and you're about to become team manager as well. What do you offer to the game now?
Obviously, the international career is over. Decided when I didn't get the pick for the 18 Commonwealth Games that on that maybe it spat the dummy out a little bit, but I decided, well, if it wasn't good enough for that selection for the games then, that maybe the major championships wasn't going to happen again. So I decided now I'll step back from major championships. I didn't retire from international bowls, i.e., home internationals. So that was a disappointment that I didn't get the pick in 2018 to play, for the international team. Okay, I missed the trial, but that was due to some family reasons. I'd never missed a trial before. Mother-in-law was ill, so I stepped back and said, look, I can't attend. I think 12 ends were played on that trial day. It was another stinking day in May. Yeah, so the call came back and I wasn't in the team. But I think for me, it was not really knowing why. Was it because form? Was it because they think my commitment to go on? Was it because I stepped back from majors and therefore they're looking elsewhere? So, yeah, I think it was not knowing. And I decided then when I think the trial for 2019 came in the September 18 or late August. So I think I was nominated for the trial, but I think because I didn't really know why I was left out previously, I declined the invitation. Okay. So that was my choice for the last team. But,
I really appreciate your frustration as well, Rob. Can I just clear something up as well? And maybe you want to clear up as well. I mean, and you touched on it earlier when you said it might be a bit of spitting dummies. But I remember you were up in Leamington, weren't you, overseeing the games? I think it was before the Ireland game. You posted something on social media saying red or green.
Yeah.
Was that something? Were you trying to get your point out there, or I'm really disappointed, or what was the thinking behind that?
No. I came to support Wales during the. I spoke to you, Mark, there. I went around the green. I was looking at the play. I was supporting the team. I think the red or green was just a joke, a bit of banter, whether to wear a red top or a green top. And I can't recall. I didn't wear an Irish top on the day, as far as I remember.
No.
You may correct me if I did that, but
no, you didn't. No, you didn't. You posted that, and to be fair, I think you kind of helped the side, if I'm honest, because word got around in the change rooms that had been done, and whether or not it spurred us on the green, but it did something because we won in England for the first time in God knows how many years. So I don't know if it was a strange thing to read, especially coming from a huge personality and player in our game, and perhaps you read it wrong, perhaps we didn't read it as a joke and thought, oh bloody hell and everything, but you just cleared it up. It was a joke, and hopefully that's put to bed.
Yeah, I think it's been read wrong, and it's news to me that it actually struck so much of a chord then. Obviously there's no way that I would want Wales to go out and lose.
No.
And I think I posted again straight away, and which I've always done, how pleased I was to actually be down in Leamington watching the team win a series, because you look at it, Wales don't win many series.
No.
We win far less indoor, very sparse, and it's going to be a long time, unfortunately, before Wales do win another series indoor. But outdoors, we can compete, and and we can, and the ability is there to win series. So I was delighted for that, and my colours was showing our red.
Yeah, perfect. So you obviously you're donning your red jumper again, Rob, and you're gonna be team manager. I'm not sure when that'll be now because of the COVID-19 situation. Are you looking forward to that, Rob? Obviously, again, it's going to be a manager we all look up to, or the players will look up to, and as soon as you step on that green, then you're going to give it all. So are you looking for bringing in new changes to the game, the way the international setup is selected, or are you quite happy as it is?
No, obviously I put my name into the ring for team manager because I think I've got a lot to offer. I don't think it'd be right to step away from the game, from what the game has given me in Wales. So that was a natural progression. Obviously, I had to have the support of the executive to approve my nomination. I'm glad they did. So moving forward, yes, I'm obviously team manager in waiting. Dave is Dave Harding's in current position.
Yeah.
So probably that will move on now into next year, where I will still be understudy, I would imagine, to Dave.
And that's not a bad idea, to be fair. You see that. I mean, I think personally, I know he's a friend of mine. I think he's done an excellent job. And don't get me wrong, I know he didn't select you for games, but I think sometimes his selections have been not kind of justified, but he's come away with a gold medal pairs and things like that. I personally think he's done a good job. He's tried to implement changes in the game, which hasn't really sort of been valued at board level. I think he's been a little bit unlucky is what the change he's trying to implement. So you working under Dave and vice versa. Dave getting ideas off you can only, sort of strengthen the game for next year.
Yeah, definitely. I think we need that year of play with Dave being in position, and as I say, me as understudy or manager in waiting. I think that is important, and to get that seamless transition then. So yeah, next year will bring us the rearranged World Championships, May. Right, no, it's a little bit later, isn't it? June, over in Oz. So no, but that'll be good to go, and obviously, exchange of ideas and everything like that. And we'll have a full season then of, hopefully a full season of play, where we can progress then to 2022, and obviously nominating, selecting a Commonwealth Games team. Now that probably has to be put in for nomination by the end of 2021. So there's lots of things to work towards next year. Some of my ideas are, I think we lack competitive play at the highest level. Our trials for the international team, 24 players pitted against 24. To me, that's not always the right way. I think for an international series, if it is going to be played on 6 rings, we do need at least one trial of 6 rings. But I'm interested in moving forward then, introducing more competitive play to the disciplines we play in major championships. You know, we play obviously a single. Commonwealth Games, we play 2-ball pairs, 3-ball pairs now, and the 2-ball triples. Now, I think we should be looking at even trials, if you want to call them trials through the season, getting the elite squad of Wales playing in those disciplines, and even trying to get more test matches against the home nations. Again, in that, it could be a top 10, top 11 sort of events. So that's what I want to move towards, hopefully, to bring that sort of competitive edge, because I don't think we have that when we just go away to major championships. That edge isn't there.
Yeah. It's just based on ability, and if you're good enough, you're good enough, and end of story. You're right. Okay, Rob, that's a brilliant insight to your career and to your future in the game. Absolutely fantastic. And we'll talk about obviously changes, when we discuss things later on in the show. But over to Chris now to interview our other legend, Mr. Price.
Yeah. So thank you for that, Rob. So, John, moving on to you. You've been patiently waiting there in the wings for your turn. Once again, another, which haven't been mentioned, another one club man outdoors. Both you guys playing for your local sides, which, to be playing at the top of your game, winning so many titles with your hometown clubs is a fabulous achievement. But for you, John, just going through, what you've done in the game, absolutely fantastic. Won the world, most of the world championships have come indoors. So 1990, you won the men's singles, beating, who did you beat in the final? Was it Ian Shoeback?
Ian Shoeback, yeah.
Legendary Australia.
That's right.
Yeah. So went back when you were a fresh face, coming into your 60th year now, leaving you.
Yeah. That's right.
So back for, what were you then, 30, John? Or 29?
I was between 29 and 30 when I won the world indoor. I had a couple of good runs prior to that, but just never got over the line, in a quarter-final or a semi-final. So to win it, in a way, was a bit of a relief more than anything, Chris, because people were saying, I was probably one of the better players who hadn't sort of won it at that time,
Yeah. And I imagine, as a 29-year-old, it was a fantastic feeling. And back when, obviously all these legends, Tony Alcock, David Bryant, Richard Corsi and all that, they were still, still playing. Just a fantastic achievement, was it?
Yeah, definitely. I think the semi-final, in those days, they used to play 2 events at Preston Guildhall at the same time. Robert probably played in it. On the afternoon, on the Friday afternoon, me and Stephen had played Alcock and Bryant in the pairs semi-final. And Alcock and Bryant always had a bit of hold over me and Steve in the pairs. We never beat them. And we lost a 5-set semi-final in the afternoon. And to come out in the night, and Alcock was probably, Robert will remember, at his peak at that time. Even when he wasn't playing well, he got over the line in a lot of games. He'd have a little touch here and there. And I'd lost to him in the 88, I think it was, British Isles semi-final. I led him 15-6, holding a 3, and he fluked it. And he ended up beating 21-19. So I owed him one, and the semi-final, I always remember the semi-final, we played it was first to 7 in the sets in those days, and it took an hour and a quarter to play the first set, and I beat him 7-6, and I'm not known as a big hitter, but I hit 6 dead ends in that set. And when we got in the press after, because they used to do the press together, he moaned about me driving at his good drawing ball. I always remember that, and I said, well, what am I supposed to do, just leave him on the jack? But eventually I beat him in the 5th set, and I still class that as probably my best ever singles win, because of who he was at the time, and he'd had a bit of an hold over me, so it was mental as much as anything to get over the line against him,
Yeah, no, I can imagine. And then, you mentioned Steve there, teaming up with him, one of your best mates 9 years later, fellow Jack, I won't say the word, but to win the world pace. How good was that, to win it, with one of your best friends?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, me and Steve teamed up a few years prior to that, and we'd won the Welsh pairs, I think, indoors 84. We'd never really played much outdoors, because we played for different clubs outdoors. We played a couple of Swansea Festival, but that was about all. But we played mainly together indoors. And obviously, to go on and win British Isles with him, and to win obviously the world eventually when we beat Corsi and Graham Robertson, that was a great feeling. And obviously I was Steve's best man, and he was my best man as well at his wedding. So we've been close from years, you know, over the years. So it's, as Robert said, with his family, you know, it's always great to do it with somebody that you're close to, and it was a great feeling.
Yeah, definitely, and a couple of mixed pairs titles in the 2000 as well. So you know, four world championships indoors.
Well, funny story there, Chris. I mean, the first one was funny. Caris was quite run, and I got paired with Carol Ashby, and Carol was a bit of a glamour girl, and she did a piece in the Sun where she had her top half open, showing quite a bit of cleavage. And my mother was babysitting Caris, and Caris came in from school and said, "Oh, Dad's playing with that tart." I don't know what Caris was at the time, you know, but it was quite funny. My mother said, "You can't say that. You can't say that." Probably Anne telling her to say that, you know. It was quite funny. Carol was a good player. Carol actually very, very good player.
Yeah.
Paired with Carol in that event.
John, what size did she play with?
Sorry?
What size did she play with?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you that, mate. I couldn't tell you that.
But she was on page 3.
Did you win it twice with Carol? The
I did, yeah. I think we actually beat Rob in one of the finals. I think, Rob, did we play you in one of them? I'm not sure. I can't remember. I think
you did.
Yeah, and I can't remember who it was. Yeah.
I think it was Michelle I was with, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a close final. I know it went to a tie-break, I think. It was a close game, it was, at the time. And I can't remember the second one, but we won it twice at that time, yeah.
Yeah,
I think Michelle went to the Pristine Herald with the story, did she?
Page 3 wasn't big enough for Michelle.
and John, you know, you've won plenty of national titles. You know, teamed up with Robert outdoors to win that silver medal at Commonwealth, but also, you know, I imagine winning national titles with your dad Harry, that must be, you know, one of your proudest achievements as well, is it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we had a good, in those early years in the 80s, we had a good little run for a while. Dad skipped that pairs and played brilliantly at the time. It was quite a funny story there, because Dad had won, I think he'd won 2 national titles and 2 British Isles titles, and he didn't get picked for a county trial the following year, you know. That shows you, doesn't it, you know. And Dad played, I think, to win the final, we beat Martin Jenkins and Mark Lewis in the final at Evervale in 81, and it was an Xtra End, I think, and Dad played an absolute wonder bowl. I remember Mr. Humphreys, and he doesn't give praise a lot. Mr. Humphreys said, you know, he was sitting on the side and he said, he played the wrong shot, but it was brilliant, the best bowl I've ever seen. And I didn't want him to play. I wanted him to hit the head, and he's come around a bunch of bowls to do the shot dead, you know, unbelievable. But Dad played great bowls during that season, and we won that pairs, and we won then the following year the British Isles in Scotland.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and Ray Hill, he was in that era as well. You know, you know, he played with my old man in the world pairs as well.
He did,
you know, back in the 80s.
That's right. He played at Bournemouth with Jeff. That's right. Jeff will know. You know, Ray was a big tactician. And with Ray, a lot of time, he likes to get into people's minds, Chris, and you learn a lot of things, you know, off people like that. He'd always try and he'd say, sow a seed, you know, and get in his mind before he plays the bowl and all this. Ray was very much into that psychological stuff. So you learn a lot. There was a lot of guys, but Jim John, you probably wouldn't know. Jimmy John, who I grew up with, lived 3 doors away. He was a Welsh international in the 60s, 70s. Learned a lot from him as well. So a lot of people around me at that time, you know, were sort of encouraging me and give me a boost then, if you like.
Yeah, no, so, you know, fabulous career, John. You know, and obviously given so much on the administration side as well. You know, since you've sort of stepped back off stepped away from the top level, and you know, commentating alongside Cookie on BBC and a number of other people, you know, on the World Bowls, and you know, you did have that spell. You've done stuff with the Welsh Bowls Federation. You also done a spell working with the Scottish Bowls national team. You know, what was that like? You know, seeing how another federation apart from Wales works.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's slightly different going to Scotland because I think, first of all, the funding is so different. I mean, Scotland have got unbelievable funding. And that could be the fact that they've changed, obviously, their system a while. They've gone to a unified body and they tend to work very closely with Sport Scotland, which I think is probably the future for Wales as well. But the funding is remarkable. I mean, I took 2 players to the World Cup, young players to the World Cup in Warilla, and everybody was staying in the chalets, which are not too bad at Warilla. You know, they're reasonable. We had $1 million penthouse on the beach. You know, that's unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. You know, I'm thinking to myself, you know, the drapes were automatic with the button in the morning and all this. You know, the TV would come on when you time. I couldn't believe it. That's the difference. You know, the funding is
yeah.
there. So I think, you know, you can't draw a comparison at the moment between Wales and Scotland, and in some ways that can be reflected in results, as Robert will tell you. I mean, you know, the preparation probably with them is very, very good, you know, generally.
Yeah. So, you know, just also, you know, talking about you know, World Bowls and Commonwealth, you know, I know you've got the silver there, John. Is it a tinge of regret that you've never, you know, obviously got the gold outdoors, or you know, in
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the one big one probably. I mean, I was disappointed with Robert because I thought we deserved in the pairs in that final. I thought we could have won it easily. You know, I thought we had a bit of bad luck against it. I thought we were the better pair over the game, but that happens sometimes. You can't do anything about that. But 98 probably was the blow because I really fancied myself in the final and I didn't turn up in the final. You know, I played badly. I think I lost 25-15. I didn't play well at all in the final for various reasons. And that was probably my big chance in 98 at Kuala Lumpur. I ended with a silver, but deep down I was disappointed. And I think that reflected in the fact 2 years later, I went with Robert to South Africa. We played the World Pairs, and I didn't perform in South Africa, and I felt I'd lost a bit of edge then. You know, it had an effect on my game for a year or two after that, and I was 24/7 bowls with the job and everything, and I knew I wasn't playing, and that's why I decided I had time to pull out of outdoor bowls really at international level, you know,
yeah,
to have a break out of it, and I never came back. I thought about coming back a couple of times, but I never have since then. But I've enjoyed everything I've done, but there are regrets. I think that was a regret, and obviously not winning the Welsh outdoor singles is a regret, you know, making a couple of finals and failing as well. But hey, you know, everybody has disappointments, you know. I look back then, I won what's called the Woolwich Masters outdoor in Aberdeen. Robert will remember it used to be the Gateway Masters in the 70s and run in Worthing. One that eventually BBC pulled out and they moved it up to Aberdeen. I'm not sure if Rob might have played in it, I'm not sure. But I remember I won that in 91, and I played in the first group. I think it was Jim Baker, Alex Marshall, Graham Robinson won the group, and then you used to go into a knockout. And I think to win it, I beat Alcock in the last 16. In the last 8, I beat Mark McMahon. Semi-final, I beat Corsi. And final, I beat Bryant on Westburn Park in Aberdeen at outdoors. And
it's not a bad run, is it?
As a good, you know, I took a lot of pleasure in that. Unfortunately, that tournament only went on for a few more years. I think it ran for about 20 years, but they pulled out then Woolwich, and it went by the wayside like so many. But I really enjoyed that event, you know. But the disappointment would be, if you said to me, Commonwealth Games 98, probably, the singles was there. I felt it was there to be won, and I didn't perform in the final. And probably the national singles really has always been the bogey one. I've got a couple of finals, the semis, but can't get over the line, you know.
I can't believe you haven't won that, John. I got it. That shocked me.
I'm not, in fairness, I mean, I played Ronnie Rowlands for Llandudno. I'd beaten a load of good players on the way, and played Ronnie in the final. He absolutely destroyed me on the top green in Llandudno. And then I played Mark Williams a few years later, and Mark was in a lot of events. He must have been in 3 or 4 events. And I was due to play on a Friday afternoon. I've been sitting around, and they waited, and they couldn't get it on. And we had to come back on the Saturday afternoon. They were playing Carruthers. And it felt like after the Lord Mayor's show, you know, and Mark played better, but I never got going, to be honest. We were on a side rink and the Carruthers was going on, and suddenly it didn't seem like a main event all of a sudden. And Mark was better than me. Yeah. So there were circumstances, but sometimes, you know, I've gone there and thought, I got a really good chance. I mean, I think last time I qualified, I beat Robert in the first game.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, first round.
Played Martin Selway then, who I always had good games with, in an absolute cracker. And Martin was brilliant. You know, I think I lost 21-19 in that one. No complaints, you know, Martin played really well. So it's always circumstances. Rob will probably say sometimes you win things and sometimes it's just not going to happen. And, you know, it's one of those. I still live in hope, Mark. I still live in hope.
well, yeah, because you know, speaking about that, you know, for years, Rob, you couldn't win the Welsh triples outdoors, and then you won 2 in a row, didn't you?
That's right. Welsh triples was always the one that eluded me out. I lost in the final, being close, lost in semi-finals, I think. And then, we win one, and following year, winning again. So, strange things. But I think if it's meant to be, sometimes, it is meant to be. I can't remember John beat me in that singles.
I remember it. I was...
Selective memory.
Exactly. And just want to put it right about 98. That silver, that was Gareth's silver.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Gareth won that. That's right.
Gareth won that one.
Gareth won that.
And he had a word with you in 2000 as well, didn't he, Joe?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But in fairness,
that was the end.
Yeah.
Is that off record? Is it, John?
I'll be honest with you, Robin, we've been away with Gareth. I mean, we had a very funny trip. The first time they did the televised events at Tweed Heads, they asked Robert, myself and Steve, and it was in the middle of June, and we were playing indoors in Australia. And the schedule was leave Swansea on a Friday on a national coach, fly out. We got there on the Sunday, practiced on the Monday, played on the Tuesday, and came home on the Wednesday from Australia. That was the schedule, wasn't it? Right? I mean, it's unbelievable. Gareth, we didn't want to go, but Gareth really twisted our arms. He said, "No, you got to go. So we three of us went. And I always remember. Do you remember, Rob? He went looking for presents, and it was happy hour. We were delayed in Kuala Lumpur, and me and you and Steve didn't drink a lot in those days. We went up in the bar, and it was 2 for 1, and we didn't see him for 7 hours. He kept out of his way, remember? And he came back and he said, "You've been avoiding me." We said, "We've been looking everywhere. We were absolutely smashed through." He said, "You're all drunk," he said. "You're all drunk." Remember that? It was so funny.
Yeah, well, we did spot him walking around the airport, from the balcony, didn't we?
Yeah.
There's Gareth again. There he goes.
I know. I got to say this. I mean, of all the team managers, Robert, I had a great respect for Gareth. He knew the game. He was a really good team manager, in fairness. I didn't always agree with him. And, we would disagree. But I always respected him. And if he told me not to do something, I wouldn't do it. Sometimes in the modern game, that hasn't been the case indoors and outdoors, where he hasn't had that. I think our generation have always respected. If Gareth said, we wouldn't do it.
Yeah, it's the one thing I noticed, John, as a youngster playing for Wales years ago, and Gareth was our team manager, and I dare put a foot out of, I dare say, I mean, I'm quite cheeky when I go away, but I would dare not say anything. And there was one occasion in Jersey, I'm not sure if you remember it, Rob, I don't know, and it all kicked off in the bar with the England. And I thought, should I get involved here? So I thought, I'm not having these English, sort of spout off in front of everybody. I think they were picking on Terry Coulthard. I said, "I'm not." I don't care. So I stepped in, flew in, and ever since then. And Gareth then, he said to me, he said, "What you did there was outstanding." And I'm thinking, and it kind of relieved me a little bit, because I thought that's my last series, fighting in the bar and things like that. But he kind of looked upon it and said, "You stuck up with others," and
well, he was good, Matt. I mean, I remember '92. We played the series in Larne. If you remember, we won the series out in Larne. And we were playing England, and I always remember me and Stephen was playing second with me, and we walked into the rink in the morning, and I don't know if you remember him, Mark, but Robert, well, big Fred Taylor and his wife. Fred used to be the English president, millionaire and all this. And he always was a big supporter of John Bell's rink, who was really good at the time. They'd won a lot of games. And Fred said, as we were walking in, he said to Steve and me, "Any last words before you play today?" So we just blanked him. We got on the green, but this was in my mind now, and we were winning the game overall. And we were about one shot up on about the 18th end. And I got a chance to pull a white for a 7. And halfway down, Mark, you've got it. And I've run up the green, and I used to have a bank in through all the flowers. I don't remember. And I've gone straight up the bank and I've stuck my finger right under Fred's face. And his wife, I thought, was going to have a heart attack. And I said, "That one's for you, Fred, mate." You remember that, Rob? And it was everything. When we got down the other end, see Gareth walking round, and he's walking around the green. I thought, he's going to tell me off you. He had that handshake, he got hold of you, the claw handshake. And he said, "Come here," he said, "Pricey. Cool it," he said, "cool it, but well done, well done."
That's right. That's what he was like. That's what he was like. He was like, I couldn't believe it.
That was definitely the thing with Gareth. He liked all that, and he liked you showing that emotion. And don't get me wrong. If you did something wrong, he would pick you up on it.
Yeah.
And he would speak to you. But he'd always give you a chance as well. You know, John will tell you we had a different opinion before the games in Joburg in 2000. I think it's something about the shirt. And we had a massive fallout, you know. But next day it was get on the green wheelie and forget all rubbish, like just go and play, and that was it. So no problems.
Yeah, fair play to him. Fair play. But you are right. Go on, Chris.
Sorry, John. Just you know, obviously finishing off with you. You know, still got so much to offer the game. You know, what's the plans for the future apart from trying to win a few OAP singles now next year and all that? You know, what's the plan for the future?
I guarantee you won't enter them. I like playing. I mean, I like playing bowls. I'm still competitive. I don't play international level. You know, I finished a few years ago outdoors, and obviously indoors I don't play international. But I still enjoy being competitive. And we've had a few runs in different things. But, you know, I'm secondary with Aberafon, so obviously we're doing things. We've had a lot of trouble with the green and getting grants because we're taking the lease of the club on. So we're doing some work with them at the moment at that level, really, and enjoying, you know, hopefully enjoying that and getting the club back up to a standard if we can for next summer now.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, you know, it's really good to see, you know, obviously both of you have got so much out of bowls, but it's great to see you boys giving back. So, you know, thank you for that.
Absolutely. And I know you know that me and Chris, you know, are pushing for more change in the game in Wales. You know, we're fed up of seeing the same old thing being churned out each year, which I think is damaging progression. You know, you see the same calendar being put out there. The county system is draconian. The 6 rink, like you said earlier, Robert, the 6 rink matches, especially at county level, is archaic. Personally, I see that the governance has to sit with one organisation under one roof. My personal opinion, that Bowls Wales probably in the box seat to do that because of the Sport Wales recognising them as the NGB for the funding. You know, what are your thoughts on the future of the game then, guys?
John, do you want to touch base on the one governing body first? You know, your involvement in the federation. Personally, I think to govern the game just shortly, I think that needs to come. You know, it clear lines of responsibility. But
definitely, I agree, Rob. I agree with you totally on that. I think it should have been, you know, a few years back now. When I was in the federation with the National Development Area, Noel Tippett was chairman, and we brought in a lady from English Netball to look at the governance. And it was of her opinion that we moved to a unified body, certainly between the men and women outdoors. Forget the indoor at the moment. And certainly they felt that they were moving in that direction. I left for Scotland partway through that, and in the end, I think they terminated that woman as a consultant, but they've ended up with Bowls Wales, which is really, for me, Bowls Wales at the moment is just another version of the federation. It's there for the funding. It hasn't really major governing powers because that's still obviously with the WBA and WWBA. So they need to start looking at that. I think, you know, before you do anything else with development, with youngsters, you need to get your governance right. I think you need a board. I think you need representation on the board from bowlers, but also I think you need people from outside who's got expertise in marketing or whatever, business people, to help move you forward as a body in this century, isn't it? You know?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And such a Rob, are you in agreement with that?
No, definitely. You know, that is right. I think it's, you know, that governance and clear lines of responsibility, isn't it? I think until we get that clarity, you know, we're going to struggle, aren't we?
Yeah. And what about the format of the game then, Rob? I think what you said earlier is a great idea. And you look at the county system, 6 rinks. You know, sometimes it's just treated as a day out, really. You know the strong sides, you know the weak sides. You know, but if you condense it down to the format you're looking at, as a sort of side aspect of a game, those weaker sides become stronger, you know. And then look at a couple of years ago, Pembroke won, and they're not a bad county, you know, sort of condensed, but a larger 6 rink. They're not very good, but they won the double rink the other year, you know.
No, I think you're quite right there, Mark. I think sad thing to say is that some of the counties are stretched, even to put a 24-man team out. And I think that's how far the game has dropped, isn't it? That your counties are struggling to actually put out a 24. And I think even the bigger counties actually do struggle coming to that, which is, very sad and disappointing.
Mm.
But when you do reduce numbers, as you say, everybody talks about whether it be indoor, outdoor, dropping down to 5 rings or 4 rings. It will become more competitive if you do that, and it will help play of bowlers in Wales, and it will help them then on to the next step.
Mm.
And that ladder is basically from your county, going into international play, and then going into Atlantic Rims or Commonwealth or World. So we need to improve play at county level. I think your clubs basically are probably going to stay at your 4 rings. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. I think that works, and I think everybody accepts that it works.
Yeah.
But county-wise, I do really think that we should be looking at that top 10 format, or I like to bring in like a top 11. Play your 2-bowl singles as well alongside
that copies the English model, yeah.
That is the English model.
The top club,
and, yes, it is the top club. They do play that format with a 2-bowl singles as well.
Yeah.
I know you might say that, well, that's not innovative because you're just copying, but you're copying something that works. So it's small steps, I think, first, and then we can look at that. How can we progress that? Now, if your bigger counties actually say, well, that's no good having just 11-man or 12-man team, we want more than that, we'll have an A and a B side in your counties. And then you can have 2 divisions.
Yeah.
I just think it needs looking at, and there's a way forward. Now, on that, yes, I personally don't know how much power or whatever I can, bring in when I am team manager. But when we do come to select teams, I do want to use that format, because when you play county, you've got to remember you are isolated. Your players are isolated in that county. Yeah. So I can't go playing, for example, Tomo with Ben Thomas, for example.
That's right. That's right.
It doesn't happen. So you need something where I think you can mix players. Now, moving further down the line, I like the idea of the draft system. Yeah. Whether it's your eight teams and a franchise, and then so you count 24 international players. If it's still 6 rings, you have 3 in each draft.
Yeah,
and then you get nominated players from your Welsh selectors, and then from your county selectors. Those are your next raft of players to bring in as your draft picks to build up a team or a squad of 12.
Yeah, that's right.
I think that would be a really interesting concept to try and do that and play that over a year.
Yeah, I get that, and that's an excellent idea. And I think the Welsh then can put forward their, let's say, for instance, their elite sides, the regions, as I'd call them then, or the franchises, would make up the others. But there's nothing stopping, say, for instance, I couldn't get into South Glamorgan or the Cardiff region side. There's nothing stopping, say, Pembroke saying, well, I'll collect Mark Letman there from that, and
exactly.
And he could play for us. So that makes sense. So there's a pool of players that could be moved around the different regions. You don't have to live in a specific area. Because am I right in saying they'd be played centrally then, Rob, or because that would help the sort of the draft picks then, wouldn't it? Because you're all meeting in one place.
Exactly. You can try and play games centrally. You can move them around greens, can't you? There's I think the options there are sort of quite endless, really, of what you can do with that. And it's certainly something we need to look into further and try and get on board. Chris, you're the good man at this, I'm told. Sponsorship. I think that could really sell something like that. I think it would be, as you say, I've seen one of your posts before, and we have spoken about it, to be fair, as well. But wouldn't it be interesting to see, that draft live, if you like? Those players.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, that's what that would be the plan. There's nothing stopping us, running it live. And each sort of region having a team manager allocated to it, and they're in charge of picking the team. It's something different. People go mad for the draft system. In NFL, and I know we'd never get to that level. But it's just something different in the game to make people think, maybe this game isn't just for old men. Because it is evolving all the time, and there's been some cracking pictures put up during lockdown of John and yourself during the 80s, and both of you look younger now than back then in all your blazers and all that. But I sort of feel that is going to be the things that attract new members.
The thing is, Chris, right, and I can tell you, Robert will know, but from personal experience working when we changed the television format, because I took over as chairman of PBA, and BBC were going to pull the plug on bowls, and we brought in the blue rink. We brought in a different system of playing. Not everybody agreed with it. We brought in coloured clothing. We even trialled playing in one direction with glass behind for one, and that didn't work at all. But we tried lots of things, because you have to try innovations to bring the game forward. You cannot, as Mark said earlier, you cannot stay in one place for too long. Everybody else is moving and improving. And I think the draft system is good. Robert says the draft system. I agree with Robert. Australia are doing very well with a draft system in some of their franchises, which is quite interesting. So I think that would be something that a lot of players would find exciting. Certainly the top players who would get into that, obviously, and something you could stream probably and would be of interest to the grassroots bowlers.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Throw a few characters in there as well. Do you know what I mean? It would make it really interesting. Get Die Bomber in there.
Bring Len Webley back out of retirement.
Oh, there you go.
The past in the past.
But
every green in Wales, wouldn't you? You know every hand.
Every hand.
You right.
And
you tell people the team managers.
You're always playing the wrong one. Go on, Len.
Definitely. Stop moving.
I think it's been an excellent show tonight, guys. Thanks very much for your time. Much appreciated. Your stories, I'm sure, will be enjoyed by all online for years to come. Rob, very best.
Just a quick question.
Sorry, Chris, go on.
Just a quick question. So for both of you, who would you say, and you can't say each other, who would you say has been your hardest opponent of all time?
Good question. Over to you, Rob.
Oh, you want me to go first, do you?
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
Oh. And are we talking a Welsh player, or can it be anybody?
Anybody.
Anybody. Well, Welsh and international.
Okay, so I would say international, a player that, and I admire this player because of how hard he plays the game, and he's hard to play against. I would say Ian McLeod is a difficult sort of character to play against when you're playing, international, whether it be indoor or outdoor. He's one that just sticks in, He really will not go away, like, fair play to him.
And he takes ages as well, doesn't he?
And yeah, you're in for a long game. So just on somebody who's going to, just stay there and be very hard to beat. But no, sort of, I've played against all the legends, to be fair. Been lucky enough to play with and against Bryant. So, that was such a thrill to do that. But, Wood, Marshall, Alcock. But probably the new guns, I would say Shannon McElroy. He's, what a singles game that guy has got. And probably then a bit more all-round singles and sort of team play. Aaron Sheriff, top player.
Yeah. And in Wales?
It literally, I know you said I can't say John, but indoor, it has to be John, doesn't it? His record is absolutely superb. I will slip this in. When I did win the Welsh indoor singles first time, this guy in the previous 10 years had won it 7 out of 10 times. And he was on a winning streak. He had won the previous 4. So if you ask me, one of my best performances, I think was actually that year beating John to stop him doing 5 in a trot indoor, because I really had to play some balls, I tell you, to stop him doing that. I think it was 3-2 down in Llanelli. And John has got to be indoor.
How about you, John?
And John?
Yes, well, with me, Chris, I mean, internationally, it's hard, the same as Robert, to draw across eras. David Bryan's always been an icon for me. You know, he changed the game, really. The game as we know it was a pastime until he came on board and television got involved. So his record on and off the green would always stand out. But I think tough opponents, obviously, I think Marshall and Alcock would stand out. But there's been so many great players over those years. And from a Welsh point of view, I always got excited when I played Robert. You know, Stephen was great, Jason Greenstay, top player, Darry Wilkins, but Robert was always the benchmark for me. Whether we played indoor or outdoor, I've got a lot of respect for Robert's achievements. He's the greatest all-round player we've produced. And he was always a benchmark. And when I came off after beating Robert, I always felt, well, I've played at my best to beat him. So I think there was a mutual respect there.
Yeah,
definitely, John. Yeah.
It's like one big living, yeah, isn't it? Fair play.
Oh, bless. Let's end on that, shall we?
I'm available next year, Rob, when you take I'm an over 60s, I'm in. Let me in the over 60s.
You're in. No, that's great. Lads, like I said earlier, brilliant show. Robert, all the best in your tenure as team manager to come. John, look after yourself, and I hope we speak to you soon.
Thank you very much, guys.
Cheers, guys. Take care.
Cheers, boys.
All the best.
Legends.
Take care.